Thank you, Pierre. Thank you, Roland. And Roland, I might ask you to stay on stage with me as we introduce next panel discussion, our first panel discussion on Gaia-X digital clearinghouses. We watched a very great video, but it's now time to hear from our clearinghouses. And I think we also have some announcement. So looking forward to that. Roland, the stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you. So first I would like to ask my panelists, which are the most important part of this. So Falk, Enrico, and Sven.
I don't know.
So, let's get started. Let's put this a little bit in context. First of all, we are missing one, which is François from Orange. He is one of the first victims of the strikes. So they canceled his flight, and there's also no way to get here by train, so we are missing him today. Let's talk about clearinghouses. Why did we actually start with clearinghouses? Now, as Gaia-X, as an association, we have one problem. We can write down rules, we can even develop code together with the community, but we have a big problem. We cannot exercise governance. So how can I make sure that the rules are obeyed, that the code is right, and who is running that code as a label issuer and as someone who is checking the credentials? And so the idea came up in late 2022 to ask providers to become digital clearinghouses. They are actually running that code for us. And that is a way to scale. That is a way to create a very interesting business model and services around the clearinghouse function itself, which is important to support the industry. And that is really something that I always call the democratization of trust, because everyone who is a member of Gaia and has appropriate operations can run clearinghouse and can become a clearinghouse. So with that, I would like to start the round maybe with you, Sven, because probably the most mature clearinghouse we have. If you could explain us a little bit how you address the market, what you do with Catena, and what's your vision for monetizing on the clearinghouse function.
Yeah, of course. I think you just mentioned we started with a trust anchor or trust protocol supported and developed with a group of Gaia, right? And as we heard this initiative and the business need on the automotive network, we said, yes, that makes 100% sense for us to establish a trust anchor in the automotive industry, and then we shaped with the automotive industry jointly, I think it was, December 2022, December 22, the decision, and then we brought it to the market in October, 16th of October. You heard maybe that Catena went live with the automotive network and the first use cases, sustainability use case, traceability, product carbon footprint, quality cases, and of course to establish trust in participants to exchange data. The clearinghouse and the node and the trust anchor and protocol is one of the important things. So that means what we did intensively, we worked with your team, with the Gaia team together, and of course we selected the Targus release, and now we are on a way to really integrating it smoothly in a business process. What you just heard from Pierre, and that's for us the key thing, simplify it and make it easy, right? I'm not knowing how much you are deep engaged in these technical components, but I'm at least an expert since a couple of years, and even for me, it's complicated, right? to really understand how the components are playing together, how notarization with registry services, and then the compliance service. So, of course, we have experts. But our aim was, and that is when you look to Catena, you will not see the service, right? It's not seeable, it's not from a user perspective, and that is for us the most relevant one. Simplification, easy access, and business orientation. I think this was for us the key to take these technical components to enable business to really have trusted participants in the data space. And this is how we saw it and how we developed it. And we brought up a product called Digital ID. This Digital ID is for us the product for serve all the needs for participants, organizations, but it goes further. It goes further from a telecommunication perspective to the network layer of telecommunication carriers. So that means in the next step we are bundling Dataspace protocol with Trust Anchor and with network protocols to really bring it to the edge, and then not only do organizational validation, we are also doing it on an asset edge validation. So that means also the infrastructure and the services that are registered in these data spaces are then verified. Yeah, and that's a little bit the idea. So that means simplification is a key. And yeah, the product is out there for commercial use. We are live. That is for me really important. And for non-commercial use, you have community editions to practice and validate and issue IDAS confirm certificates. That's also key. IDAS confirm certificates, that is also what we are issuing. So this means it's real in production. And yeah, we're looking forward to the next release, right?
Thank you, Sven. Maybe Enrico, you've been also in the first round of clearinghouses and working with us now for a while. What's Aruba's vision?
Aruba has involved from the day one. Started to understand the project, what there is behind. As I said at the beginning, also for me that I'm involved there since more than 1 year. At the beginning, it was a little mass of information standards, and there was a lot of confusion. But we started in the right way to put the correct piece in the right place. And we internally started to be more involved. At the beginning, we were involved only in some working groups, but we started with this pilot program for the digital clearinghouse. We were the first node up and running, and contributing also to the technicians to improve these components. And but we wanted, just because we believe in the project of Gaia-X and the initiative that is based in European value, we wanted to go forward, and we started to be involved also in some committee, both the technical one and the policy rules one, where I'm part of. And we wanted to still contribute to this simplification. Also from our business point of view, we started to develop our solution, just because we want to simplify all this trust framework, because believe in it, just because we have the key factor as Aruba, just because we are both a cloud service provider and a qualified trust service provider, we can contribute on it. And for this reason, we have launched a solution, the Aruba Digital Clearinghouse solution, that also add some components that easily let the customer to be onboarded on a Gaia-X ecosystem. So, but it's just a journey, and we want to continue to be committed in this journey along with you, also because we have been involved in some European project like Simple. We are part of the Sovereign-X along with T-System and other European company. And we believe in this European value, like the transparency, the portability, the openness, the data protection. All these aspects can be covered by the trust framework developed by Gaia-X that is becoming, is already de facto standard, but is becoming a standard. And as Aruba, we can contribute, we believe in these principles and we can contribute in it.
Thanks, Enrico. I think one of the things that you mentioned is really super important, that this is ongoing. So as we now have operations of clearinghouses, we also get back requirements and feedback on operations of that code. And we can improve things because that's another sort. There's always functional and non-functional requirements. And this is also a very important part that we are working very close together. Now, Falk, new to the gang, OVH, I think a very early partner in Gaia-X and now in the process of becoming an accredited clearinghouse. What is your way forward? What is your motivation?
Thank you for the question. And yes, we are new to the game, maybe becoming a clearinghouse, but not new to the game of Gaia-X, as we are a founding member as well. Yeah, maybe why do we want to become a clearinghouse? A little bit repeating of what has been said before. This is the reason why we joined Gaia-X in the first place, was sharing our values with the Gaia-X values. It's about transparency, it's about reversibility, data sovereignty. There are many, many aspects which is core to us, core always how we've been set up as a company, and also the values of Gaia-X. So the logical consequence for us is to become a clearinghouse as well, because that's what we stand for. That's why we participate over all these years now, also in the board of Gaia-X. So for us, it's just the consequence to get the next step. And obviously, it creates, addressing also the labels, it creates values, we believe, for the entire industry. So creating norms, creating standards, which is at the end good for our consumers, good for our customers, and basically good for us as well.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we had a similar discussion and an interesting board in Alicante, where I would like to bring up another aspect of the clearinghouse. When you look into the different legislations that have come along in Europe in order to protect data and protect European citizens and the industry, I think that this job was done well. There is a ton of regulations now that we need to follow. But as I tried to show with the sliders in my previous presentation, it will also be very important to tailor the level of trust that you need, because otherwise it's getting very expensive. And Alfredo from Telecom Italia called this sovereignty tax, and I like the term because that's really what's happening. So how are you addressing the way that you can adjust the level of trust your customers need?
Yeah, I think it's depending on the use case and business scenario, and of course the industry is demanding. When I'm looking to aerospace as an example, highly standardized, highly secure on a high level, then of course there is a demand that this data center stays in Europe, and of course there is a demand that level 3 makes for them more sense. When I'm looking to the public industry, where we are dealing mainly with European open data or open data mainly, look at Mobilität, look at MDS, Mobility Data Space, then maybe where the traffic lights are positioned, it's not so relevant that we have a high level. So that means high labels. So, and that is how we differentiate. Of course, we are supporting all of these labels. We started with the demand from the automotive industry, and of course, in continuous dialogue, we are enhancing this based on the demands. As I said, aerospace is the next one, and others look into energy, highly regulated as well, and demanding there, and that's a little bit the way forward. So the idea is that we are supporting all, but please start small and then scale fast. That's a little bit our vision, not take the whole specification and the whole complexity, so slice the elephant in a way, and then step by step we are enhancing it by onboarding clients. That's a little bit the idea.
Anyone else?
Yeah, as I said from Sven, there are a lot of verticals, domains where Dataspace could be involved with, and it depends on also the national government what needs, what they want to establish as needs for labelization, for having high standard of security in data protection and so on. It depends on needs. We can go forward and tailor solution for our customers that have this kind of needs. It depends of the domain of the healthcare, of the finance, or mobility. There are needs and constraints to fulfill, and our experience, we are already could be mentioned as a CAB on the domain of the identity, but along with the cooperation of other CAB, we can make assessment, we can tailor solution to obtain such kind of level of trustability. So I think we are in the good way for attaining this, but we need the cooperation between nations and hubs to fulfill the right, to find the right solution available for all these domains.
I think at the end the customer will decide what level of security, sovereignty, and so forth they appreciate. It's the market. So we will set standards, we will monitor the standards, we will clarify them, but the customer will decide which level they wanna pick. And we can only guess, and we have research and market studies, what share of the market will be in which bucket. But and for sure there will be definitely some who will aim for the very, very highest standard because their data is so critical that they want to be just having the best of the best, if you like. But it comes as a price. So at the end, it's a market decision.
Roland, let me add one point. You mentioned an important topic regarding price, right? Security and trust, and there is a price point behind, right? So that means, I can remember a specific situation in the Catena discussion where we said how often we are issuing verified credentials when we are validating participants. How often we are doing it? We're doing it in every registration when I'm using a Dataspace protocol and connect product like an EDC, technically speaking. And every data exchange, we are verifying it per every transaction, or we are doing it once if we are getting into the system, and then I'm knowing that I'm dealing with participants. And of course, there's a trade-off of validation per quarter, per year, or per every transaction. When I'm issuing IDAS confirmed certificate, of course, it leads to a cost aspect. And this is, I think, customer at the end, and then 100% with you, the customer at the end will decide, and then based on the, I would say, business sense, level 1, 2, 3, or more validations, less validations make sense.
Yeah, I think this is also a very important point. It's not only the market, it's sometimes we recently had discussions about technologies. It's also about which technologies are you introducing. And I know we had discussions with the clearinghouse providers, because if you introduce as Gaia very expensive technologies and make them mandatory components, they automatically lead to the fact that, yeah, you need to deploy it, but the question is, can you sell it? Because if you're missing the price point of the industry, then that is an issue. I want to touch another topic which I think is important because you all know, but it's for the audience. We ask a very high contribution from the clearinghouse providers because they get code for free, they get support from us, but we ask them to provide the conformity layer. Remember my presentation, the lowest form of conformity for free. And I mean, there is no free lunch. So actually, even a free service is not free in production. But we felt it is super important that we have the lowest possible entry barrier for projects and for small enterprises and even very small enterprises, so that they have the lowest barrier in terms of organizational, financial, and and technology so that they can participate. We see all these large lighthouse projects, and usually they are led by consortium, and there's all these big names and big numbers there. But then you have, I don't know, I think in Germany it's about 75,000 companies working with the automotive industry as suppliers. So those are not the big ones. They need to be able to participate. Europe is a region of SMEs, and that's why we need to help the SMEs to adopt that technology, because the problem is there is no exclusivity, because if people are not participating, there is no trust throughout the value chain. So we can't say it's an exclusive product. It has to be the opposite in order to be used. So my question to you, how do you feel about that free service? Do you think it is important? Do you have customers for it? Do you try to upgrade them from the freebie service to some higher level services? What are your strategies there?
Now, in principle, yeah. So it's for us super important to make it a success that the vast majority, and especially the SME, Europe is a SME country, region, that they have to have the lowest hurdle possible. Hence, it's kind of logic that needs to be free, and it will be free for the customer. It's obviously not free of cost for the supplier. But so that's kind of the setting the standards. That's our contribution. But similar to other like OVHcloud, we are one of the biggest open source contributors using open source, OpenStack in this case, code for our public cloud services. So this is also a contribution, which, and I'm sure you guys doing the same. So if you work on the open source environment, you also contribute anyhow. So this is kind of setting the scene, but obviously we aim for at the end for customers, for business, and that's why since then people will start consume more and more services. That's how it makes will be a business case. We believe the clearinghouse in itself is not for us a money machine. This is not the aim. It's not the business case as such. It's the business out there in general, which we want to make it attractive. We want to gain trust in the industry, so people will more coming away from on-premise into the cloud. That's the reason becoming a cloud provider in the first place. So that's kind of where we will get the money from, not from the clearinghouse process, more from the general trust and the business.
Yeah, of course, we are doing it for business, and I'm seeing it's a little bit slightly different. Of course, I'm comparing it often like a digital passport, right? So when I'm crossing a border from here to Switzerland or from Switzerland to India, then of course I need a passport to pass. And to issue this initial passport, I have to pay a fee, right? In Germany, 35, 36, whatever. So that means that on its own, it's not a business case, but it gives me a digital identity and gives me a trustful access to a data space. And of course, we have to differentiate if it is a data space in production or it is a lighthouse project. For that reason, we are differentiating in two things. One is an enterprise edition offering digital identity / clearinghouse, or it's a community edition where I would like to experiment, I would like to explore, I would like to validate, I would like to test it, I would like to integrate it in my business processes before I bring it to production. And of course, there are different price points, right? When I'm having an exploration and a sandbox approach, I need no 24/7 SLAs. I need no support organization. I don't need a guy in the background if I revoke the verified credential because this credential is not valid. It was yesterday valid, but today I identified this is not valid anymore. Then I need a security center and a guy in the background who's managing with the verified credentials, if the verified credentials are valid. And this is then an enterprise way of managing it. Of course, this leads to a business model and a business case where we, at least at Deutsche Telekom, would like to earn some business benefit out of it, and that's the reason why we jumped in. On one hand, So this is a digital identity and organization, but it goes to persons, it goes into the wallet, and it goes to the network layer later. So our visionary idea is clearly to go further from a dataspace, protocol dataspace, to a trust anchor with policies to the network layer. For that reason, then, because the end game of this identity is, of course, from our perspectives, the B2B to C business, because a person is belonging to an organization and a person is having assets and so on and so forth. I'm not going now into the details, but for us there's a clear idea how we are going forward, and we are differentiating between enterprise editions and community editions. Point.
Yes. Thinking to your question, I think I agree with them that the basic conformity level is something that is automated. It can be given for free. It's not a problem because it is already in place. The mandatory components are there in production. Anyone can submit the self-declaration and obtain the Gaia-X verifiable credentials. It's another process just to obtain the basic conformity level. So whenever there is no effort from our staff to make the assessment, I think it's something that could be done for free. For sure, the other kind of levels need some effort and time to understand all this, the assessment and what is declared by the participants. So obviously here is the business, not only for us but also for the CAB. And but what I would like to that all our customer can understand is that through Aruba, through our service providers, we can simplify all this process because we have the knowledge and the competence to fulfill all their needs. So we can collaborate together, and we don't want to make some barriers. We want the adoption of these standards. It's just when there are specific needs where we can put our expertise, and here there's the business.
Okay, thank you. So, Sven, you brought us a short video about the way you are simplifying trust and helping companies to join. Do you want to say a few words before we run it?
Yeah, I think it's come without tone. Maybe you're playing it, and then, so as I said, the enterprise edition and the community edition is out there. You get a test access, and you, of course, can integrate it in your business processes via an API endpoints. So that means this is not visible. It's well documented how you integrate it in your business processes. That is one option. Another option is to visualize it as we did it here, to integrate it in a data space overarching concepts where you have organizations, where in organizations you have persons, in persons you have infrastructure services, or you have generic services that you would like to validate. And this scenario is a little bit how you are validating persons, organizations, and services. And this is a visual appealing element, how it looks like. And if you like, yes, play it, and then maybe I comment a few things. As I said, yeah.
But it's basically a live demonstration, so that is real.
It's a live demonstration. It's only if you come to me and say, hey, Sven, I would like to get access, you're getting an API code, you're getting access immediately, so it's in minutes available. Of course, it comes with a test agreement, and then you can use it and you can experience exactly what I'm showcasing here in a short video. Exactly. Yeah, this is the different options. Of course, you can run the service on different infrastructures, and you can validate the infrastructures on different services, as just outlined. And then you can, after you registered your organization, this will happening in Catena in the background, because in Catena you're receiving a unique business partner number after the initial registration, and in the background when you're registering, we are validating the organizational ID, that ID in Germany as an example, and we are adding trust sources. Iori is one, Open Corporates is a commercial trust source that we are added to our service, and then we are issuing in seconds the verified credential. And you can imagine in the automotive industry they ask us for SLAs, right? It can happen during the registration.
Our DIH services connect you to leading data space ecosystems. Find out more at dih.telecom.com.
You can imagine that in seconds it should be validated, and then, thank you, and in seconds the feedback should be coming back, and this verified credential should be added to your organization, and this is happening all in the background, right? And this was a process if you would start and go into our data intelligence hub, the Dataspace solution, and here it was visualized how we do it manually, right? Yeah.
One important thing is that everything that I presented in the morning and that Pierre presented is really the core engine of those services to obtain compliance. And everything else, both the application and the technology or the infrastructure you are using beneath, or the interfaces you are putting to it, which is basically the face of your company, of your services, and I think I see Kai here, you have a similar solution. These are all solutions. This is the freedom of the provider. This is then the face towards the core engine. So we are only delivering the engine, and everything else comes on top. So I had one last question to each of you. Level 3, which is the highest level we have at the moment. We had very interesting feedback in Paris last week. A high demand for level 3 in certain areas in France. How do you see your customers, your markets? What do you think level 3 will be your market?
Yeah, well, it's the crystal ball. We all think something, but we don't know yet. I personally believe there is a demand. And as we mentioned it before, the market and the customers are different. Their needs are different. And they judge the security standards, the sovereignty standards different. But for some verticals, we strongly see interest, mainly around where the data is seen very, very sensitive, like healthcare, like some government business, if you think about defense ministry and so forth. So very critical data. Public sector per se, I see in that range. Maybe not everything. I like the example of the traffic light. Maybe that's not that critical, but other data is critical. So we will see how that reflects in Germany. In France, you're right, there's a strong demand. It's a different standard. Obviously, we have in Germany the BSI C5. In France, it's the OVHcloud. But the OVHcloud is maybe a little bit tougher to get and even more expensive to run. We see when we introduced that to the market, which was like 2 years ago, we were not sure about how much of that investment is paid back. And we actually see super strong demands, funny enough, not just by France. I've got German customers who use that standard because they wanted to get the best of the best. So you will always find somebody who likes the highest level. Hence, I believe and we believe it will be used. To what degree, we will see.
Underline what you said. I think there is a demand, there is a market, but at the end, the customer will decide, and the question is the customer willing to pay for this level and for this security and for the service, for this trust service, such amount of money, question mark. We saw it with our engagement. We have an Open Telecom cloud in Germany that we ramped up. We have had a Microsoft cloud that we ramped up at Deutsche Telekom. And yes, that came with a specific price point. And what we learned during this journey is the customer really willing to pay this additional extra amount of money, and does it fit to his business case and his business scenario? For that reason, I would say yes, there's an opportunity, but I would go carefully into this market and really would slice and identify if it's really needed. I would not lead with this level 3. That is at least my recommendation. I would say this is on our pocket, that would be available, but I would not go for it, because then we have a business case discussion and then the whole project maybe will fail at the end, and this is what I then would like to avoid. For that reason, a clear demand and a clear willingness to pay for it should be visible from my point of view.
I believe that, as said by them, it's difficult to understand if there will be business, but I agree with them that there are some vertical domains that they have these needs, like the healthcare, the public administration, wherever there is the needs of data sovereignty, and where there is no internalization, let me say, where there is an European or national environment, public sector have these needs, and can be fulfilled with the level 3. In all other cases, it's difficult just because they need the headquarters in Europe. If there is the internationalization, this kind of requirement could be not fulfilled. So I think there is business, but we, as Aruba, we are here to help customer to find the right solution for their needs.
Okay, so I think with that, I want to close it. So thanks, Frank, Sven, and Enrico coming to Darmstadt, coming on stage, and most importantly, running a clearinghouse. And I'm encouraging the audience and all projects to directly reach out to the clearinghouse providers. You see them all on our webpage when you start your projects, because I think it's imperative that you involve those experts in an early stage of the projects rather than retrofitting your architecture once you understand how to use the clearinghouse. Thank you.